Hello, this is Tetris The Grand Master. I'm going to be doing a no reset run with commentary. Hopefully I can use this as a submission video for marathons, and then if that's not why you clicked on it, then hopefully you just find this entertaining and informative. So to get the basics out of the way, this is Tetris The Grand Master. It's an arcade game from Japan. It is basically a speedrun version of Tetris. Obviously you can speedrun any version of Tetris theoretically, but this one is kind of built from the ground up for it. So as an arcade game, it has certain sensibilities, and one of those is the fact that the game really wants you to work to get the highest rewards, and in this game the reward is all about the grade. So you see that I have an 8 in the top corner, just became a 6, and it says next grade at 2,000 points. So it's going to continue doing that all the way up to the second to highest grade, which is S9. The grades are going to go from 9 to 1 and then from S1 to S9. And those are all just based purely on score. I don't need to do anything fancy to get those. However, to get the absolute highest score, there's a little bit more to it. So in addition to score, the highest grade is going to ask you to meet certain time thresholds. And there are 3 checkpoints that it's going to be looking at. The first one is going to be at level 300, which, by the way, the levels, I should explain, are there at the bottom corner. It says 117, 118, 122. That is basically your progress meter through the game. So every time you place a piece, you get a level, and then also every time you clear a line, you get a level. And the game goes until level 999, at which point it's going to say, all right, either you got the requirements to get GM or you didn't. So, now that I've explained that, the thresholds that the game wants you to go to are at level 300. It's going to want you to have a grade of at least 1, and it's going to want you to have done that in under 4 minutes, 15 seconds. The grade requirements are not super strict. Like you see that I almost have grade 1 now, and I'm not even at level 200, let alone 300. And that's going to be similar at the level 500 requirement, which is grade S4. And it wants you to do that one in under 7.5 minutes. So again, these score requirements are not super strict. It's all about the time, and that's kind of why I think of this as more of a speedrun game than it is like a score attack game. So yeah, there we go. Grade 1. Well before level 300. You can also see that... sorry, let me finish explaining the grade. So at the last threshold, it's going to want you to have gotten a huge amount of points, basically just S9 plus a little chunk of change, by level 999, the end of the game. And it wants you to do that in under 13 minutes and 30 seconds. So you'll notice, by the way, if you do the math there, that you have 7.5 minutes to complete the first half of the game, but then only 6 minutes to do the entire second half of the game. And you're going to see why when we get there. Basically, the second half of the game is just naturally much faster than the first half. In the first half, there's no hard lock, so you need to physically push all of these pieces down in order to get them to lock at the bottom of the stack. And a fun little nuance of that is that I'm going to be trying to, during this early part of the game, stack as high as I can. So sometimes I'll even avoid getting a Tetris, like right there. Even though I could have gotten a Tetris, it would have pushed my stack down by 4 blocks because of the line clear. And by doing that, it means that all of the pieces that I place are going to need to fall 4 additional spaces. And that's like basically 4 additional frames. And so by keeping my stack high, I get to save time on every single frame. If this were a PB attempt, then my comfort level would be about 3/4 of the way up the screen. But for a no reset run, I'm going to be trying to keep it at about half when I can help it. Kind of in an awkward position right now, but we're going to just make that work. still in a bit of an awkward situation because I need to get a line piece over to the far left. And there's a little bit of a nuance that makes that problematic in this game, which is that none of the pieces are able to get up over walls. Like in a modern Tetris game, you might kind of like think, oh, I want to get a piece over there, but there's a wall in the way, so you kind of just like mash on the rotate button, and eventually it kind of just works its way up. That's because of something called floor kicks, and floor kicks are not in this game. Once a piece is down a certain amount, it just never comes back up. So in order to have pieces get over where you want them to be, you're going to need to respect the physicality of the pieces. And that means, you know, making sure that they have a slope that they can kind of slide down in some cases. In other cases, it's just going to mean having a clearance for the rotation itself. Like for the line piece, not only does it not floor kick, it also requires more clearance underneath itself to rotate than any other piece, because every other piece is like normalized to the bottom. So like when you rotate it, it'll like transform into a new position, essentially, is like what's technically happening under the hood. And for the line piece, it actually doesn't do that. It actually moves the piece down 2 blocks. And as a result, if you don't have 2 blocks under it, it's not going to be able to rotate. Like 2 blocks clear under it, then it's not going to be able to rotate. Okay, so we're having a little bit of a time right now. This cleanup has not gone super great, but that's okay. We met both the score and the time requirement for level 500, so that's good. And now we're kind of just waiting for a line piece. Yep. Do a little bit cleanup there. That's good. Okay. It's coming together. I don't want to get caught into like a cycle of needing to do cleanup for an extended period of time, because when I'm doing cleanup, it's very, very difficult to continue scoring Tetrises. And you may think like, okay, well, you said the score requirements are not super strict, so like who really cares about scoring Tetrises that much? However, what you need to remember is that there is a line clear animation in this game. And you can see next time I clear a line, like boom, like the pieces kind of like fall away. That takes 41 frames. And so whenever and it takes 41 frames whether it's a single, a double, a triple, or a Tetris. And so as a result, if you can help it, you always want to be clearing Tetrises, because it means that you get 4 levels, so like 4 like units of progress instead of 1 if it was a single, in the same amount of time. So not only are Tetrises good for score, they're also good for time. And when you're cleaning up, it's very, very difficult to continue scoring Tetrises. But yeah, so we're past level 500 now. We have been for a little bit, but I had to explain the cleanup stuff. At level 500 and on, like for the rest of the game, the pieces are spawning at the bottom of the stack. And so what that means is that all that stuff I was saying about like making sure that your pieces kind of have a runway that they're able to slide down so that they can actually get to whatever side of the stack that you need them to be on, that is going to be even more important, because they're not only can they not get up over walls if they fall a certain amount, they fall the maximum amount at all times. So like there's absolutely no negotiating it. They just simply need to slide. There's no fall time. So luckily right now my stack is looking pretty good. I have a very, very high center column, and that's what we call it pyramid stacking in the community. My partner calls it the lightning bolt, where I just kind of like put a piece down right there in the middle so that future pieces will be able to kind of like land on the spire, and then I can move it either to the left or the right as needed. Typically spires are considered kind of a bad stack. But for the purposes of pyramid stacking, sometimes you kind of just need to make a spire. And the reason why spires are, like, in most Tetris scenarios considered bad is If you have like one part of your stack that's much, much higher than the surrounding columns, then it means that you don't really have any ability to stack like across columns, because like if you think about just like the shapes that the pieces make, there are like certain formations that certain types of pieces fit into. So like a 2 deep, like 2 blocks deep, 1 block wide hole can be filled by either L, J, or the line piece. But if one side of your stack is dramatically higher than the other columns around it, then you're not going to be able to do, like, you're not going to be able to stack as many pieces across that column, like across those rows rather. So yeah, stack is looking a little bit funky, but honestly, I'm going to just kind of let it ride for a little bit, because at this point, I'm kind of getting a little bit concerned about the time requirements, and so I'm not really too concerned about the garbage there at the bottom. Because there's a 30 frame lock delay, and my pieces are falling instantly regardless, there's not really any difference in how the game plays, whether my pieces are, whether my stack is at the very bottom that they could possibly be, or if it's like at the top of where it could possibly be. The only thing that really matters is that the topology of the stack is healthy, which right now it's not looking super great, but it is definitely manageable. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, this is really funky right now. Having some difficulty cleaning it up. Okay, that's big. Okay, now we're perfectly clean. Just like that. It kind of sneaks up on you sometimes. Okay, so we're hitting level 900 at 12 minutes. That's going to be a little bit of a close call if I don't stack cleanly, so I'm going to try really, really hard to make sure that I don't get into another cleanup situation. The other nice thing about this game's design is that because, you know, Tetrises are both good score and fast, it means that there's never a point where you kind of like sacrifice your stack to like get to something faster, because Tetrises are the fastest thing you can do. So simply playing cleanly is always the best strat. Yeah, I think we're gonna make GM. Might be a little bit tight. Yeah, okay, so we just gotta clear the last few lines. Yeah, so we're at 997. The next line clear will do it. There we go. Grand Master. Whew. This last little section where the credits are playing, this is purely aesthetic. In some of the sequels, you actually do need to like clear a certain amount of points or whatever in order to qualify for the Grandmaster grade. But in this game, it's just the 3 checkpoints I was talking about at level 300, 500, and 999. Whew, really glad I got that. Hopefully this was a good demonstration. Hopefully I explained things relatively clearly. If you have any questions in the comments or anything, feel free to ask them. And yeah, I'm just gonna wait for the credits to end so I can input my initials, because I think this is my second best time on this account. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Whoop. What's the back button? Yeah, there we go. Sorry, don't usually miss input. So yeah, hope you guys have a good day and learn some good stuff about Tetris.